Hold me close, a tiny dancer. Watch the headlights on the highway. Put the right glasses on here.
Do you want folks to show their faces?
Yes, that would be wonderful.
Okay. Hopefully they'll all log on momentarily.
I definitely want to see Jimmy's face.
I would want to also.
You'll show me your face, I'll show you my feet.
You have to remember, Coffee, everyone hasn't met you in real life. You might see me.
Could be.
Hey, good afternoon, all.
Hello.
Do you know your hair has gotten so long?
It has.
I think that's the longest I've seen it.
It's very long. I don't know what I think about it other than I can do this a lot.
Oh my God, is that
Stacy.
Stacy Overby? Oh,
Hi, Stacy.
holy cow!
I'm sorry, we don't have favorites, but we just haven't seen Stacy in a very long time.
Oh, we have favorites. He's not on that list, but we have favorites.
Wow. Stacy, you're the favorite on my
I was going to
list.
say, welcome, Stacy. Don't you feel the love?
I do feel the love. I do. I was excited about this call, seeing some friendly faces.
Well, it's good to see you.
Good to see y'all very much.
We'll wait another minute or two before we kick it off, give everybody a chance to log in.
Yep, we should have a pretty full house.
How many registered?
47.
That's
Boom.
great.
We probably should have been doing this a year ago.
And we
Yeah.
are recording. So for those that, hello, Mr. Collier, for those who cannot join us, we will be able to send out. And even for those who join us and we want to revisit something, the video will be shared.
We might as well just video or label the video Exhibit A now
Yeah.
in Jimmy's impeachment trial. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be the quickest trial in history.
Hi, Martha.
Hey. Good afternoon, y'all.
Good afternoon.
Brian.
This is Brian Hayes.
Oh my, we can't, where are you? I don't see you.
Yeah, where's your camera, buddy? Come on.
Hi, Latanya.
I don't have my camera on.
Lens
Oh,
up.
not
buddy.
allowed. We should have put that in the rules.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Dustin. Sorry, I'm not at my computer. I'm on the call.
Yeah. On the golf course again, are you?
Yeah.
You know, somewhere nearby.
It's happy hour somewhere.
Hello.
All right. Do we want to jump in?
And we may need somebody to mute their background.
Yeah, there's somebody on a call number.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, just housekeeping rules, guys. If you wouldn't mind muting if you're not speaking, particularly if you're in a noisy location, that would be helpful. Sounds better. All right, I'm gonna kick us off and very quickly turn it to Mr. Coffee, who graciously agreed to moderate and kind of lead the discussion today. But first of all, thank you for joining. We appreciate it. As you know from the calendar invites, we're going to start doing these on a weekly basis for a while, just to hopefully provide some additional support for you guys. And one of the things that the district directors and Mike have really been talking about is just the headwinds that all of the chapters face as COVID kind of resurges again, and some of the uncertainties and whatever. So really, the purpose for these calls is really to allow you guys to have some time to connect. They're relatively unstructured in that we're going to try to facilitate sharing among the chapters to, number one, encourage you just to continue to fight the good fight and do the great work you're doing every day. Number two, hopefully give you some ideas, illustrations, or examples of things that maybe you might want to try in your chapter. And number three, I think really encourage you to keep it simple. I think one of the struggles that we're all dealing with is our world of work is busier than ever, and it makes it even harder to get to all the things that we want to do. So our boards may be struggling and whatnot. So being focused on a few things and doing those things well versus trying to do 20 things is, one of the keys that we really want to talk about. So specifically today, we're going to talk a little bit about kind of the in-person meetings versus virtual, and kind of talk in and around that subject of what chapters are doing, what's working, and maybe where the struggles are. And again, Mike graciously agreed to facilitate. So with no further ado, Mr. Coffey, the floor is yours. Mr. Coffey?
Well, my space bar is as an unmute was not working. So there you go. Okay. Well, again, like Jimmy said, this came out of the district directors meeting, and just there's a need to maybe feel more connected with one another than we have felt throughout COVID, but also just to share really for the chapter leaders to share with each other. I mean, we've got some members of the executive committee here and stuff, but really this is for you guys to.
And this is Ann Dallas. Sorry, it's been a little bit of a crazy day. If you want to try calling me back, however, I'm in a webinar. It's 4:00 now, and I'm in it till about 5.
I'm in a webinar with some really boring people. So, anyway, so we could, so this is really your opportunity to share ideas with each other, talk about, the issues we're going to cover in the coming weeks. Whatever you guys want to talk about. The plan is to discuss succession planning at some point in the next few weeks, membership recruitment and engagement issues, programs, and what you're doing around what challenges you might be having around building your conferences out or getting speakers for your programs. At the plan right now, I don't think I'm talking out of turn, is for us at our in-person meeting here in Fort Worth, to have a couple hour session talking about strategic planning. I've lined up my coach who helps me with that in our organization, and she and I've met, and she's putting together a scaled down version of strategic planning tools that you as chapters could maybe take back to your chapter, and in the next quarter begin to plan for next year and the coming years, using some of the tools that she's developing just for y'all, just to scale down, so you don't have to do a full, like when we do our strategic planning for the year, it's a full 2-day offsite thing, and obviously you'll never get your volunteer leaders to do that. That's asking a bit, but maybe we can get a few hours from them and use these tools to really get some focus in. So that's the plan for our meeting in October, but we're hoping in the coming weeks that you can get some clarity around some of the challenges you face, which ones are really challenges and which ones are just things you haven't thought about. So today we wanted to talk about, do we have in-person meetings or don't we? What's going on with your chapters? Delta variants claiming people left and right, people who are vaxxed and people who are not. So let's just kind of go around the room and talk about what your chapter's doing. And since I haven't seen Stacy in so long, and it's so good to see him, Stacy, what are y'all doing? You're still down in Bryan College Station? Is that what I assume? And you're muted.
Yeah, there he goes. We are meeting in person. So board meetings, we are doing virtual just because we found out from COVID, we can do those effectively virtually. But our luncheons, monthly luncheons, we're doing in person. Matter of fact, I think Bruce, you're coming down tomorrow, aren't you? So he's joining us at Embassy Suites tomorrow, and it's worked well. I would say, we don't have the filled capacity that we used to, but I would say on a regular basis, we probably have 30 to 40 people at the luncheons. For our city, that's a pretty decent gathering.
Yeah, and so that's probably, what are you at? 70% or so of what you were at pre-COVID for your attendance?
Yeah, I'd probably even say even 60% probably.
Okay, yeah. Good. But what are you getting feedback from members who aren't coming as to why they're not coming?
Most of it's just people not comfortable yet, and we are, we're one of those areas that hasn't had a vacant ICU bed in a month. For a city our size, we have 53 people in the hospital ICU. We have over 1,000 active cases right now. And so, yeah, there's still some apprehension of people coming and meeting in groups.
Okay. Jacinta, y'all started meeting up in July?
No,
We did.
Sorry, I'll shut up now.
States. Yes, we started our set. We did online versions until July of this year, and the attendance was not great, but it's all right. Our sessions are not. We have 20 or so people that come to our sessions, so we're a small chapter.
You're Red River Valley, is that right? Did I get that right? Yeah. Okay. That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm really bad. Forgive me if I get your chapters wrong, guys.
You are coming to speak for us next month, or this month, rather. So.
Yeah, we're in September now, aren't we? Yeah.
And so see you in Paris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And well, I think we're all zoomed out, and I think that's I think people are really tired of the in-person or the virtual education sessions. What's your attendance look like at Red River compared to pre-COVID your in-person stuff?
It's not very good. I mean, but even the people in my own unit, I think everybody's still trying to catch up to being on campuses, and for us, it's on campus, and I think we're just trying to get caught up, and so we'll get back in the swing of it. So I'm not worried.
And I think HR folks are just really covered up right now. I mean, and we're trying to recruit. We're trying to figure out how to bring people back safely. It's really nutty. It's hard to get away for an hour or two in the middle of the day.
Yeah, I mean, we've pretty much been on campus. HR has to be here physically, so it's everybody else that worked from home and so on. So it's nothing new for us to be here, but it takes a while.
Martha, remind me which chapter you are. I'm thinking San Antonio, but I'm not sure I'm right there. So, oh, we can't hear you, or I can't hear you, but you're not muted.
She's in El Paso.
No, El Paso. Oh, okay. Oh, hello, Art. Hey,
hello,
Art.
Mike. Yes.
Well, we can't hear you. I'm sorry, Martha. But Art's going to talk for you since we're going to talk to El Paso.
You can see Martha, and I'll speak for Martha. Well, we haven't had any of our meetings face to face. As of right now, our first one's going to be our legal seminar, which is our highly attended one that we usually have throughout the year. So we usually see like an attendance of 100 to 125. It just really fluctuates. So we're hoping to see at least half of that attendance this month. And we did order face masks for everyone. We're actually going to have it at Martha's. Martha is one of our hosts and sponsors with Western Tech University. So we're going to have it in their auditorium. It's very spacious, and we're hoping to
that's
have
good.
vendors there as well. Hopefully we have a good turnout, and then that will be the indicator for us whether or not we move forward with face-to-face or go back to virtual. But we are going to do it's gonna be a hybrid, but the virtual recording will go ahead and send it to those members that paid for that option the week later. We won't be struggling with that during the time of the presentation.
And that's what I'm seeing a lot of conferences that I normally attend or at least get information for. They've decided to abandon the live hybrid, the live virtual combination, and they're just recording the live event and then sending it out later. And I think from a technical, if you don't need a lot of interaction between both audiences, from a technical point of view and just a quality of experience point of view, that's probably a lot better.
I think that I witnessed it with the meeting that we all had, the hybrid for Texas State Council, and it was just very hard. You all really tried hard to engage everyone, but it wasn't. There was the disconnect. So I think that it's just best to have it done separately.
Let me see who else is out there. Well, Stacy, you're out in West Texas. What's going on? What are y'all doing?
So we've been doing hybrid since January. And
y'all are Lubbock, right? You're Lubbock, right?
Abilene. We're in Abilene.
See, it's all the same. If it's
I know, yeah.
But, yeah.
And so attendance has been, it's been a little lower, but not really. We are planning our legal workshop in a few weeks with Dustin and Paul. And we are in discussions, we've been in discussions about, in person, virtual, whatever. So right now we are still planning to just do that in person. But I do like the suggestion of the sending out the recording later. I think that's a really good suggestion, especially for those chapters that might not be, technically savvy or, have difficulty. I know a lot of other chapters who are struggling with locations, that their normal locations have not been accommodating. And so I think that's been a struggle for some, especially I just spoke with Heather in Waco, and she had to cancel her big workshop that they were having on the 9th, their conference, because of location and attendance and everything else. So, but yeah, that's what we've been doing.
Bruce, you dropped in the comments notes about Dallas HR. Just why don't you restate that and we'll.
Yeah, I was just, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Good. I was just going to mention that, I heard a lady earlier in a presentation today. She ended her presentation with, "You're not the only one." And so I wanted to put this in here because, Dallas HR is a pretty large chapter, but yet they're struggling too, right? And so I think that the message was that they're continuing to try to move forward. So what was interesting was back in June when everybody had the Top Golf event, I thought, wow, man, this thing is going to be packed. Everybody's just ready to get back. And there was a great turnout, right? It was an outdoor event. Everybody is just ready to get out. And then since then, for the luncheons, I thought, okay, here we go. And the first luncheon, they had about 40 attendees on site, which typically they have, over 100, depending on the event. But they had 28 virtually. And so they wanted to still offer that virtual, but it was more of just, it wasn't really engagement other than they had somebody monitoring the platform for questions. So they could ask the speaker questions at the end of the session, which I thought was good. And then the next event, it was about 50-50. There were about 40 on site, and then there were more virtually, so 40. So that told me a couple things. Number one, Not everybody's comfortable to get out. But number two, I think more importantly, people are like, the HR community is busy. So busy right now. It's just so much going on. So I think it's just trying to find that happy medium. And I like the suggestion, Mike. I hadn't even thought about that, but trying to figure out a way to have some type of event and still accommodate attendees that could not be there, either A, if they weren't comfortable, but B, if they couldn't just get out of the office, but be able to, and because I'm always talking about the importance of driving value. And so you got to figure out how can you continue to drive value for your members. And that's one way, is to say, you know what, we get it. We're going to have our meetings, but we're going to, you know, send you as a member, we're going to send you the recording, or however you decide to do it, if you charge for it or whatever. But I was just thinking about how Dallas HR is this mega chapter. And you would think that, oh man, they're going to have all these people, but yet they're in the same situation everybody else is in. And so I guess my message to you today is, hey, you're not the only one. It's just trying to figure out how can we just continue to navigate through that. So I don't know if that helps, but wanted to share that.
Yeah, I think we all are.
Hey, Mike.
Yes.
Sorry. Hey, Mike. It's Brad Shanklin. And Bruce, you're exactly right. Everything you said. The only thing I would add is that, you know, the challenge has been, and Jimmy and I had this conversation about the SHRM meeting at the conference, is that virtual component, that live virtual component, because the two times we've done it, it's cost us probably a little north of $100 a person on virtual, which is not sustainable for us. And I don't think anybody, but I'll speak for us. It's not sustainable at, you know, we're charging $29 for the virtual attendance registration. So that's a challenge that we're facing, because what we're looking at now is stopping even the virtual piece of it, because at $100 a pop, we'll lose money on the event big time. And, you know, that's been the big concern. Conversely, it's interesting that for the HR Southwest Conference, as of today, we had 350 people in person. But the virtual piece, which is the week after, like you described earlier, Mike, the virtual attendance is 248. And that gap has been closing significantly. It used to be about half and half. Half of the in-person number was the virtual number, but it's closing that gap. And clearly the Delta variant has everybody spooked and such. But, you know, we only had a handful of people who were in person and switched over to the virtual, which is good. It's a good indication, I guess, but who knows what tomorrow brings, literally tomorrow, because it changes, you know, every day. So I just wanted to add those tidbits, but what Bruce said, you know, is exactly right.
Let me ask, I'm curious, Brad, why, what's driving that $100 cost to do stuff remote? I mean, I know Dallas HR doesn't go the economy track with how you do presentations. I mean, y'all do everything first class, but what is it that that seems to be driving that $100 cost per virtual attendee? Just your facility internet rentals and stuff like that, or what is that?
Yeah. I mean, great question. And it is, the first two we had were at restaurants. I'm sorry, restaurants, at hotels. And now we're looking at other venues, but the hotel venues have been extremely expensive because I don't know, and I'm not, you know, I don't want to speak out of school, but are they trying to make up dollars because they lost all this money in the past? But, you know, it's about $4,000 for us to get the kind of robust delivery that we can have, that we don't lose connection and things like that, you know. So it's been the same for one Sheraton and one Marriott. So, you know, that's the rub, because we're just trying to figure out, how do we afford it? Do we go to more of a meeting venue location? But then you have additional catering issues. You have the additional, you know, room rental issues and things like that.
So are y'all thinking about just recording the presentations and then making them available on demand later?
Correct, exactly. The online learning center we have is fairly popular, and so those fees are even little less. You know, if you did a la carte selection of things, so it's that's an option we're looking at. But
okay, interesting. Julie, what about Permian Basin? What's going on? What are y'all doing?
Now we're going to go back to Zoom. We did Zoom earlier in the year. We did an in-person one meeting, which I think we had 20 people there, which was really good. It was a lot of business leaders that came and a lot of people that we haven't seen in a while. We did a back to work event on August the 11th at the Petroleum Museum and brought in 3 guest speakers, discounted it to $79. You know, the usual social distancing, masks if you want. And we had 18 people show. So I don't know if y'all are having this issue, but we were notified by our broker insurance for the board insurance that they're not going to cover any type of COVID. So we're going to go back to Zoom meetings. So we'll continue Zoom. And if, you know, lately what we've been getting is 20 to 25. And the Zoom, we've been essentially giving for free. So that way we can stay connected with our group, make sure that they're, you know, connecting even if it is on Zoom and they feel somewhat safe. There's a lot of fear out there about COVID. So a lot of people are changing the ways that they get their information. So we're just trying to make sure that we adapt.
Yeah, that's and I think that's, you know, if you can't do it, if it's not the right time for you to do it in person, but just doing whatever you can to, even if it's, you know, making it free. I think it's probably pretty hard for most chapters to get folks to pay for a virtual event, you know, especially for just a 1 hour lunch thing. So
I have a thing to say.
All right.
On the pricing, I feel that if we make it accessible as a recording, I mean, there are people that will share the password or the video, and it's a disservice to the people doing the presentation and to the organization. That's why I feel the pricing should probably be a little bit more up than the people that actually attended in person. I don't know, that's my thought process. And so, I mean, that's what we proposed in our meeting.
So El Paso's gonna, if it's virtual, you're gonna charge a little bit more than if it was attended in person. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, because they could do like a group presentation. I don't know what they're gonna use the presentation for. Once it's gone, the link is left.
It's out there. Yeah.
Martha.
Are you sharing?
Martha's saying something. Text me, Martha. Can't hear you.
So when it's virtual, how are you delivering CE credit for that? Or what's your plan for that? How are you going to make sure that they've done something to watch something? Or
we don't know.
Just take it for credit, give it. What I'm doing, by the way, on Tuesday, my podcast interview with Bruce Waller dropped. But what we're doing on our YouTube and in our podcast, you can get half a credit now you can get podcast, credit for listening to podcasts through SHRM and HRCI now. And so halfway through those, I'm dropping a little commercial into the middle of the interview where they have to at least listen to about half of it to find it. And then I tell them what our code is to go to our website and use that code to get HRCI credit. So
that's about all you can get through with your podcast anyway. So you're good. Yeah,
I know. Yeah, most people, especially when Bruce is on, most people are already asleep by the time we got to the commercial. So, but tomorrow is Rodney Klein. My interview with Rodney Klein drops, and it's probably one of the better ones I've done. But of course, it's because Rodney is amazing, and he's teaching people not to do all the things I do routinely. So. But yeah, that's going to be the thing with what you're talking about, Art, is how do you get people want credit, and so how do we effectively do that? Because if it's you're just throwing it out there, they could always do the self credit process where they watch it and then they submit it themselves for approval. I've never submitted anything to either one of those organizations for, the self-study stuff or the, so I don't even know how that works, if it works very effectively, but who else is out there? Just because I love the name, I have no clue which Brittany we're talking to, but Brittany, got anything, where are you and what's going on? What are y'all doing?
Yeah, I'm actually with the Tri-State SHRM chapter in Texarkana. So we had planned to go back to live meetings in September. But we do our meetings at our local community college, and they have notified us that they are not allowing outside visitors now due to the numbers in our area of COVID. So we decided to, at least for September, go back virtually, and maybe going forward as well, just depending on how the COVID numbers do in our area. So we just made that change this week.
Wow.
Mike, this is Steve.
Yeah, Steve.
I know that Cindy is on from Rose City. Cindy, can you unmute your phone? And just because I think you had mentioned that you were planning on having your first in-person for some time in August. Did that happen?
So we actually had to kick off going back live, we had planned an in-person mixer at a local restaurant in Tyler. And we planned it for August the 12th, and about a week or two prior to that is when the numbers really started going up. We had about 25 people register, which is a good average for us. So we were really excited about that. But, right before the event, the numbers started going up. So we had a lot of people drop off. We actually ended up having 12 people, and that included the board members that were able to come. Dina graciously joined us and gave a nice little talk about Texas SHRM and SHRM National. So shout out to Dina. Thank you again for doing that.
Thanks, Dina.
So, it wasn't all for naught. We did, have most of the people there that were not chapter members, but were just so hungry to do something in person. They came, and so we were happy about that, and got some people that were interested in membership and even board member positions. Our plan after we kicked off our mixer was to go back in person for live monthly meetings in September. However, just as the numbers started to increase and we had low participation at our mixer, we decided to go back virtually at least through the end of the year. And so when we start planning for next year is when we're going to talk about, just monitoring month by month what's happening. We do actually have access to a pretty good space where we can achieve some social distancing. But we had also talked about trying to do something hybrid, but everyone was a little skittish because no one felt like they were technologically savvy enough to pull that off. So I think, just hearing about the recorded version, I think that's a great idea. And just hearing Art comment and several others comment about the credits, I think that's something that we as a chapter have to think about if we do a recorded version, maybe, because right now we are not charging for our virtual events. So everyone can come for free. It's on the honor system. We send out the credits after we get them to those that logged in and registered that they attended, and we're just assuming they were on for the full time, and so we do it by the honor system. But perhaps if we do a recorded version, we charge for that. I don't know. It might, if somebody has a little bit of skin in the game, they might do it, but we'll see. So it's definitely there's a lot of people on the fence out there.
Hey, Brad, are you still on your that learning on demand? Do y'all offer credit for those, and how was that set up? Is he still there? Maybe not. Maybe since, I don't know.
I don't think he's on anymore.
I don't think so either. So I was just curious, since that, they've got that system already in place.
Yeah, I think they've got a learning system, and Dina, Texas SHRM still has one too, right? Yeah, and so there are platforms that are not very expensive. Texas SHRM, I think, is using Thinkific, correct?
Correct.
And remind me, I've slept since then, since we tried to put that together a couple years ago.
$100 a month or so for our
Yeah.
platform.
And but when you complete watching a show or a recording, it'll send automatically the HRCI and SHRM stuff because it's pre-programmed.
Correct.
Right?
We pre-program it out there, and it also we are also able to see how much of the content you actually watched. So if you watch 7 minutes of it, we don't send you your credit information. And so, yeah, there are opportunities out there. And I do want to interject at this time, if your chapter is doing a virtual event, if you're not, I still encourage you, please, to have people register for those events through a true registration system. Part of our HRCI, specifically to HRCI, part of the approval process for them to be a provider is that they can come in at any time and audit you regarding those credits. And it is always best if you can have historical information on who registered and who attended, and just a simple registration through your website or however your chapter normally does registration is of great value in case you are audited.
And Dina, isn't Wild Apricot one of those that actually allows you to monitor who's on, who's not?
Well, through Zoom, we can monitor who's on and who's not. And so, yes,
Okay.
Wild Apricot, yes, but the registration component can easily happen through Wild Apricot.
Good, thank you.
So Brian, tell me what's going on. What are y'all doing in Austin while you drive?
Yeah. I'm parked, so
yeah.
no safety issues there. So we have reverted back for our.
I don't know which is
September meeting
creepier. Let me
to-
just say, you driving and talking, or you just sitting in a parking lot? I think if I saw Brian Hayes just sitting in a parking lot, I might think, there's a little shady something going on there.
Well, I'm sitting outside of my house, so hopefully it's not too shady, but whatever. No, we actually we had a couple of in-person meetings, and we're not the only ones, right, Bruce? We Delta is raging here in the Austin area, so we have made the decision to revert back to all virtual meeting in September. We are not going to do hybrid meetings. We just can't logistically pull those off very well. We can't, it's from a cost perspective, it just doesn't work. And so we are either going to do in person or we're going to do all virtual. We cannot do both. It's not that we don't have the facility that it wouldn't cooperate. It just doesn't, the end user just doesn't get the same experience, and it's a lot of money for an hour event or for a couple of hours. And so we've made the decision just do virtual. We did have our annual conference at the 1st of August, and we did it in person. We did not provide a virtual option other than we did make recordings of all of the sessions and made those available to people afterwards through our app. We do not have a process in place. I'll say this, and Dina may correct me really quickly, but it's on the honor system as to whether you watch those or not, and to get the codes and whatnot. I just, I don't have any evidence or any reason to believe that people are, grouping up and watching the videos together. I just don't. So to Art's concern, I don't know that we have any concerns about that. It might happen, but it also might happen that people would upload fake, just put stuff in their recertification accounts that they didn't attend, but they're supposed to be, signing an ethics statement that they're doing the correct thing. So, I can't babysit everybody. So, but in the Austin area, it's much like everywhere else. We're we're fighting the optics of not being able to have an in-person meeting when the Delta variant is raging.
Brian, did you charge for people to view those recordings?
Yes, sure
did. I mean, we got, the chapter has the registration money. So does it matter if they watch the whole recording or not? I'm just asking, throwing that out there.
I mean, they paid.
Basically,
I don't care.
Yeah, basically, Brian is an HRCI research credit pimp. He doesn't care as long as you pay your money, you get the credit. Go, and so I think that's what he's saying. But I think, yeah, and I think I'm HRCI and SHRM both. I mean, neither one of them is organized well enough to actually do an audit of anything. I think I've never heard of them doing one. Maybe they do, but they know that all the chapters are struggling trying to figure this stuff out, and I wouldn't lose too much sleep on that piece. But I've been chatting offline or here with Dina, and I'm going to get with her and the Texas SHRM office about seeing if there's a way that chapters that are recording this stuff, if they want to use Texas SHRM's Thinkific platform, maybe that's a way. If you're recording your live events and you want to share them out there, maybe we can work out something with Texas SHRM. And especially if you're going to charge for them, we can maybe do a little profit share where a little bit of that goes back to Texas SHRM to support that expense on their end. But we'll figure that out. Mostly Dina will figure it out, and I'll just come up with great ideas for her to execute, as I always do. So, but so that may be something that'll help with any of the chapters, right? So we don't all run out and buy $100 platform if Texas SHRM hosts them and makes them available, and it could give you broader exposure too. If your El Paso event or your Laredo event or wherever is available on through Texas SHRM too, there's a lot higher visibility for that event, and we can as a group of chapters we can work together a little better to support each other and to promote interesting education stuff. So maybe we can figure that out in the next few weeks. Anybody else want to jump in with any questions, or how are you handling kind of things, or if you just need to talk to somebody who'll listen?
Ask what everyone is charging. I had to jump in and jump off of the meeting. What is everybody charging for the virtuals that you're putting out there, or your recordings, or you're not?
Bruce, what is your average Dallas HR virtual presentation cost? Do you know?
I think it's around $29.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much the going rate for CE, for an hour of CE credit generally anyway. Stacy said out in Amarillo, they're charging $10.
In Abilene, but yeah.
Abilene, Amarillo. It's West Texas. It starts with an A. That's all I know.
I signed up for the Mid-Cities virtual presentation today. They're charging $15, but they're actually taking all their monies and donating it to a charity. Now, I don't know if it's 100%. I just know they're making a donation, but they're charging $15.
Okay, good.
Yep.
El Paso's doing 20, Martha said. Okay, Bay Area SHRM's doing 10. So it's kind of all over the place. And I'd suggest whatever you think the market will bear, whatever, but you don't want to gouge your members, but there's expense and time, and your chapter still has bills to pay that, and if you just quit having any revenue because you go virtual, that's not going to work either. Austin is 35 in person, virtual 25. And I think the one thing you've got going for you with virtual is you don't have lunches to pay for and other venue costs. Based on this conversation, Oh, this is to me. Never mind. No, but she's asking, I'm speaking up to her group and she's asking if I'd rather do virtual, and I'm good either way. I dare COVID to attack me. But I'm good either way. So if y'all decide to go virtual, I'm good, but I'm always glad to.
I was going to just jump in and just say that I think that whatever you charge, you just got to whatever feels right for you. But somebody mentioned earlier about skin in the game. I can't remember who said that, but I think that we have to continue to show that we're providing value. I mean, you're providing your time, you're setting the meetings up, you're working hard, right, to grow your chapter. So, you need to probably charge something, even if it's $10, because that way, if that member pays that, they already know, okay, I've paid for that, I'm going to get on, versus, yeah, I'm just going to sign up. And if I can make it, I can make it. If I don't, I don't. So I think there's something to charging. I don't know what that number is. As you can see, it's whatever everybody feels comfortable. But I think if you charge something, I think that, you're showing, you've got incredible value to provide your members. So just a thought.
I think that's a good point. I think people don't value what they don't pay for. It's just the reality of it. It's, and yeah, and you don't want to set too much of an expectation that continuing education is always going to be free from your chapter. Because when you start going back to in-person events and you make that stuff go away, it's going to be harder to disentangle that. What kind of feedback are you getting from your chapter members about, you're getting a certain amount of feedback by the fact that they show up or don't show up. But beyond that, are they telling you, has anybody said my employer's not allowing me to go do these events in person? Or is it just, I'm concerned about it? Are they even giving you any feedback?
There's some more of our governmental members are the ones who are restricted to attend in person. But as far as everybody else, I think there's no restrictions.
Okay. Yeah. I haven't talked to everybody and I just don't know everybody. Erica Faust, where are you from?
Tyler.
Okay. What are y'all doing?
It's Foss.
Oh, Foss. I was going to get it wrong.
Yeah, Rose City SHRM.
So Rose City, yeah. So we talked a little bit about them. Anything that Steve didn't share about that, or anything special y'all are doing? We said Cindy said you're not charging, and
yeah, we recently talking about I forgot who was the one that mentioned it, but providing some kind of benefit. We were talking about starting a blog, and so I was wondering if anybody else was doing a blog, and then whether that was restricted to just members or just to people in your directory, or kind of how that was going. I know Texas SHRM, or no, who is it? Mm-hmm. Dallas has the HR Connect.
Yeah.
So I would, my brain starts going and I'm like, do we need to duplicate that, or do we just need to band together and just all do HR Connect instead of having to create content, and try to keep up with that over and over? Could it be something that each association contributes to and adds to that HR Connect, and just kind of build it and grow it, grow it amongst all the associations? Because I know each association is limited to their time that they can provide and resources. And it's like, as Cindy Walters knows, sometimes it's just one or two people that are doing everything. And so I feel like, I'm not trying to just jump on somebody's bandwagon, but it might just be better to just kind of all contribute to one thing.
Yeah, I think HR Connect, have y'all rolled that out to your members, all the HR Connect interactive stuff?
We just submitted a list. They wanted an email and all that, and then they came back and asked for more information. So Holly actually just told me today that she's a bit behind because she wasn't anticipating the additional requested information. So I have not had the pleasure of seeing it, but I hear it's really good.
Yeah, it's really helpful. It's less of a blog and more of a chat, a set of chat boards. But I think it's a great service to all the chapters from Dallas to make that available, and I find it useful.
Mike, one thing, if I could, just one thing to piggyback on what Eric has said. I think something that you said in the very beginning really struck me and has resonated with me all year long, because we've talked about throughout this whole meeting how busy everybody is, and I know for me personally, it's been a very busy year, one that I didn't anticipate, especially when I went into the role as president. But keeping it simple, and I think focusing on just a few small things to keep our chapter moving forward is really crucial. Is keeping it simple, but to Bruce's point, adding value to the membership. And the virtual meetings versus the live meetings, I think having a in-person meeting that you can record, or a virtual meeting that you can record and still offer credits to our members who need those at a low cost. I mean, because these are all low cost, and if we can get them on the Texas SHRM website, then easy to access, that's a huge value, especially if, you are logistically challenged and you can't make it to a meeting, or because you are so busy. That's huge to me.
Yeah, and that's one of the things is Linda Norman is the person who facilitates all our company meetings and strategic planning and stuff. And as she and I have been working on the stuff for the October meeting, one of the things I've brought up to her is that a lot of the chapters in our bylaws have a dozen board members. We've got everything from diversity and inclusion to workforce readiness to all these very admirable things. But we're not being, a lot of small and medium chapters can't staff all those roles right now. And if that's the case, what's the thing that our members need the most? And that's probably, my guess is it's going to come down to education and connection, maybe not in that order even. And so maybe in 2022, as we hopefully open up more and we get maybe a little past this Delta stuff, maybe in 2022, as a chapter, you just say, yeah, we'll fill these positions if people actually want to work them there, but we're not going to go looking for warm bodies to stick in that slot, because what we need most are people who can focus on and help us focus in on the 2 or 3 most important things for us to be doing this year. And then let's rebuild how we do that in this new world, whatever that is, and get that really solid. And then we can start adding other things, workforce readiness or student chapters or whatever it is that we aren't doing right now, or aren't doing very well because we don't have engaged people. If you've got a limited number of people who have the time to be really engaged in your chapter, then put them on the most important things to serve your members. And that's what, in the long term, your chapters are just a group of HR professionals who got together and said, we want to help our local HR community. And all Texas SHRM is all the chapters getting together and saying, we want to get together as a community and help all the chapters be stronger. So we may, it may just be the thing where you say, we can't do everything this year, but, we're going to focus in on these handful of things to really get some traction in 2022. And hoping there's not an epsilon or a gamma or another variant that comes along. We're almost out of time. The meeting next week, like I mentioned earlier, the district directors tossed out the topics of succession planning, recruitment, and of members, programs and event topics, and that stuff. And again, if we go virtual versus in person, that may give you a broader range of options. And member engagement. Drop in the chat box if you've got those topics, if any of those topics really resonate with where your chapter is, or if you have other things you think we should really discuss as a group, because we can capture them if you drop them in the chat box. And you can throw them out verbally too. Bruce.
Hey, Micah, real quick, and I was going to ask Dina if she would just comment on this. I know Erica mentioned about a blog, and Texas SHRM also has a blog, and you can certainly utilize that as well as contribute. Dina, you want to make a comment on that?
Absolutely. Texas SHRM, as Bruce mentioned, does have a blog, and putting information in the blog is open to everyone. We post a minimum of once a month, traditionally the first day of the month. And when we put something on the blog, we send out a notification through social media that something new is out there. So if you have content that you would like to share at any time, send it to us and we're happy to put it out on the website. It stays live on the website at all times and very easily accessible to folks. Bruce's drops today.
Yeah, or if you just you don't have time to write anything up, just go and look. I know Mike Coffey had, he's got a blog on there.
Out there.
Yeah, so you can just go share that with your members.
I stalked you guys, so I was trying to figure out how to create that blog section and how we wanted to do that and everything. So yeah, I'll be reaching out to you, Dina.
No worries, Erica.
Great. So it sounds like any and all of those topics that we talked about would be good for next week. So let's jump into succession planning then next time. And we'll talk about recruiting board members and succession planning next week. Jimmy, you got anything else you want to say?
No, good insights. I thought there were some really good comments. Art, I love the comment about we tend to discount the remote offerings, the virtual offerings, and really maybe we should be keeping that price point at the same or even slightly more for all kinds of reasons there. But no, good info, good conversation, and hopefully this was helpful and people took away some ideas.
Hope to see everybody next week.
Yeah, is anyone, are we going to do something as a group in Las Vegas, as Texas?
Oh, in Las Vegas.
I can speak to that. Our SHRM has been, it's been challenging to get a list of all attendees from any of the states. We've gone as high up as we can, and that would be Mike Aiken, who is the final person we've asked. There is no list that can be shared with us. So no events have been able to be planned because we just don't know everyone who's going to be there. So I hope that all of you that are together can do something, but there's nothing official on the books.
I see.
And I can also interject that when we thought we were going to be able to get a list, I started doing the research of a venue. And to someone's point, apparently all hotels are trying to recoup everything they've lost in COVID. So per a normal group in Texas going to something, I got pricing for 75 people to come into a restaurant and do a dinner. That was my goal. And I didn't go to the Taj Mahal people. I mean, I was just doing a basic restaurant. The minimum fee for the evening was $35,000.
Whoa.
Whoa. Wow.
I attended a Texas event when it was in Las Vegas last, I don't remember what year it was. But it was just like in a blog section for SHRM, and everybody was saying who they were, what state they were with, and then you just met at that bar. You know, it was like a restaurant bar. And
yes. And hopefully all those things are going to be able to happen again this time. There's just been challenges with us getting everything that we've needed. So I apologize.
I won't credit for not saying what I'm thinking. Okay. Well, thank you guys. We'll talk to you next week. Have a great rest of the week.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye,
everybody.
Bye.